Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show. The Arctic, here is a place of severe cold. The coming of winter makes the world quiet, and also makes everything in the snowy North Pole even more silent. Animals that were rare in the past are even more gone now. And in a cave somewhere in the North Pole, a young Arctic wolf is sleeping in the arms of a strong female wolf. Su Lin turned over, he felt warm all over. This is really a good place to sleep. Ow. Hell. Su Lin, who was half asleep and half awake, wanted to twitch his arms and rub his eyes. But, he woke up suddenly and completely. Wait, where's my arm? And, what's wrong with my voice? Su Lin was horrified to find that he had no arms or hands, and his voice turned into howling wolves. I'm just dreaming. Su Lin felt so in his heart. But when he twisted his body to look around, he was horrified to find that he had really turned into a little wolf. A small Arctic wolf covered in snow, and only about 30 centimeters in length. I'm going, what's the situation? Su Lin only felt that his mind was buzzing and blank. After he calmed down, he quickly recalled what happened before he fell asleep. Su Lin is a rich second generation who likes to explore. As for his parents, who were busy with the development of the company, they never cared about him. For more than 20 years, he has faced ups and downs in life alone. Yesterday, I went to explore a mysterious cave. In that cave, he found a crystal coffin carved with complex words and pictures. Crystal coffins, let alone ancient times, even in today's technologically advanced society, building such a coffin would require an unimaginable cost. So Su Lin studied it closely, for a long time, very curiously. Because of his rich experience in exploration and the fact that he majored in archaeology at university, he vaguely understood some of the words on the coffin. But they are all meanings that do not match the preamble. Words such as Ice Age, great changes in the world, Cambrian, evolution of species, resurrection of gods and demons. However, it may be that studying the words on the coffin consumed too much of Su Lin's brainpower, so when he was about to leave, he suddenly felt his mind spinning, and then fell unconscious on the ground. But he didn't expect that he would be reborn after falling asleep. Also reborn as a wolf. He raised his snow-white wolf claws, and gave himself a hard claw. Snapped. It hurts. This real pain made Su Lin couldn't help crying. I can't really turn into a wolf, a little Arctic wolf? God, don't play tricks on me, my life hasn't started yet? But even though Su Lin shouted in his heart for a long time, nothing changed. He did become a wolf, a little Arctic wolf. Fortunately, Su Lin, who has lived alone since he was a child, has a strong adaptability, and it didn't take long for him to adapt to his new identity. But just after he got used to his identity, suddenly, a cold voice sounded in his mind. Ding! The host has successfully awakened, and the system is about to be activated. 10, 9, 8, 3, 2, 1. The phagocytosis evolution system is successfully activated, and the host gets the activation reward, 10 potions of potential, can be used to develop one's own potential. As soon as the voice fell, a light and shadow attribute layout that only he could see appeared in front of Su Lin's eyes. Name, Su Lin. Species, Arctic wolf. Level 0, 10 evolutionary points are required to upgrade. Chi and blood, 10. Endurance, 1, strength, 1, defense, 1, speed, 1, evolution value, 0, this is the system? Seeing the attribute page that suddenly appeared in front of his eyes, Su Lin was stunned at first, and then a gleam of joy flashed in his eyes. Fortunately, it's not too sad. Although it turned into a little Arctic wolf, but fortunately Goldfinger appeared. Don't say that you can evolve into an adult, at least try your best to survive in this icy and snowy North Pole, it shouldn't be a problem. The name of the system is the Devouring system, which means that I can grow by devouring other things in the future. As for the blood, Su Lin began to analyze the various values on the property page. The vitality above the attribute bar is equivalent to the life value. If the Qi and blood are reduced to 0, it probably means the end of life. Endurance is equivalent to physical strength. Strength is determined by the attack and destructive power of the creature. Speed is naturally the speed of running and reaction. These things are generally easy to understand. As for the potion of potential, there are also detailed notes. It is a good thing that can develop the potential of one's body after taking it. After analyzing these things, Su Lin felt that he had completely recovered from the depression of being reborn as a wolf. After walking out at this time, he slightly raised the snow-white and cute little wolf's head, and glanced at the wolf mother who was hugging him with one paw beside him. Immediately, the wolf mother's attribute page also appeared in front of his eyes. Race, Arctic wolf, female. Level 4. Vitality, 432. Stamina, 42. Strength, 39. Defense, 37. Speed, 35. It has to be said that the attributes of the wolf mother are much stronger than that of him now. It seems that this is the general level of female Arctic wolves. Su Lin struggled to break free from the wolf mother's claws, tremblingly climbed onto the wolf mother's stomach, and looked towards the rest of the cave. Yu reading www.yuyukansha.com. I found a few Arctic wolves sleeping on their stomachs to refresh themselves. It seems that wolves are indeed pack animals. Next to the wolf mother, the nearest one is the wolf father. After glancing at each wolf, Su Lin found that the wolf dad still has the highest attributes in the cave. In addition, it can be judged by the position in the middle of the cave of wolf father and wolf mother, which can be exposed to the sun. It is estimated that Father Wolf is still the leader among the wolves. Race, Arctic wolf, male. Level 6. Vitality, 589. Stamina, 68. Strength, 59. Defense, 57. Speed, 60. This is the attribute of Father Wolf. This kind of attribute is also much better than that of wolf mothers, and it can be regarded as top-notch among male Arctic wolves. When Su Lin was about to use his immature little paws to climb out of the cave to see the outside world, Mother Wolf woke up. She looked at the immature cub crawling around on her body, let out a low growl of dissatisfaction, and pulled Su Lin back into her arms with her paws. It was only then that Su Lin realized that there was a little female Arctic wolf in his arms, who looked younger than him, probably his wolf sister. Now the wolf girl is eating the pacifier in front of her with relish. Seeing how delicious the wolf girl's food was, Su Lin also felt the pang of hunger attacking quickly. Although he rejected it in his heart, he still couldn't suppress his body's instinctive desire. He leaned over and started eating like the wolf girl. Ding! Eating Arctic wolf breast milk, evolution point plus 0.1. The sound of the system beside his ears, coupled with the sweet taste from his tongue's taste buds, made Su Lin's little wolf eyes light up. While drinking the breast milk of the Arctic wolf, Su Lin fell into a drowsy sleep with drooping eyelids at the sound of the system's reminder next to his ears. Young mammals are always very lethargic. This is well reflected in both human babies and Arctic wolf cubs. A month later, in the cave. A childish growl sounded beside Su Lin's ear. A tiny figure was looking at Su Lin in amazement, with his cute little eyes blinking. This figure is obviously the wolf girl. Wolf girl was born not much later than Su Lin, that is, the front and rear feet, but she didn't expect her brother, who was originally about the same size as her, to grow up so fast. Now he is several laps older than himself. As for Su Lin, who was looking at the scenery outside the cave and daydreaming, when he heard this surprised growl, he just turned his head, stretched out his paw and rubbed the wolf girl's head lovingly. Of course he was aware of the surprise and doubt in wolf girl's heart. At the same time, not only the wolf sister, but also the wolf father and mother in the cave, as well as several other members of the wolf clan, are also very curious about him. If it wasn't for Su Lin growing up under their noses this month, they might have already regarded Su Lin as an Arctic wolf who sneaked in. After all, within this month, Su Lin's growth was indeed a bit too terrifying. Of course, the role of those 10 potential medicines is indispensable. On the third day after being reborn, Su Lin could already run and jump alone. On the 10th day, they were weaned from milk and began to eat the prey that Father Wolf caught from the outside world. On the 20th day, his body size had already surpassed that of the wolf sister, and even surpassed that of the half-year-old cousin of the Uncle Wolf's family. 30 days old, that is, now, Su Lin's size is almost the same as a 1-year-old male Arctic wolf. Name, Surin. Species, Arctic wolf. Level, Level 3. Upgrading requires 80 evolution points. Vitality, 300. Stamina, 30. Strength, 30. Defense, 30. Speed, 60. Evolution value, 8. In a month, Surin evolved to level 3. Compared with the scattered attributes of Wolf Father and Wolf Mother, Su Lin's attributes are more balanced. Because for every level up, the system will give him a balanced increase of 10 points in all attributes. As for Qi and Blood, it will increase by 100 points. But in addition to this, there is an additional 10 points of free allocation of attribute points. It can be seen that this should also be the effect of those 10 potential medicines, which have additionally developed their own potential. Don't underestimate the 10 extra attributes, which means that at the same level, your overall strength is at least 1/5 higher than the opponent's. This is not the scariest. The most frightening thing is that the extra attribute points can be distributed freely. Surin allocated all free attribute points to speed. Now his speed is definitely far higher than those of the same level, even the Wolf Mother can't match it. In heaven and earth, speed is king. After all, if you have speed, you can run even if you can't beat it. This is what Su Lin thought. But at this moment, a thick and low growl of a male Arctic wolf interrupted his thoughts. Su Lin looked up at Father Wolf. This roar belongs to Father Wolf. Through these days of observation and personal experience, he has also roughly understood the meaning of the various sounds of the wolves. Like this low growl, it is the roar of Father Wolf beckoning his members to go hunting. Surin heard this kind of roar almost every day. Because Wolf Father and Wolf Mother go out to hunt every day. However, due to the harsh environment and the fact that there are few species in the North Pole, the wolf parents and mothers only get very little harvest every time they go out. As for common large animals such as polar bears, yaks, and grizzly bears, wolves dare not hunt. After all, hunting these animals often causes heavy losses to the wolves. Therefore, unless there is a hopeless situation, any wolf pack will not attack these animals. As hunting became more and more difficult, this time even the wolf mother who had stayed in the cave to take care of her cubs stood up, and then walked out with the large group. Before leaving, Mother Wolf rubbed Su Lin and Sister Wolf affectionately with her head. Then he held twice, telling Su Lin to take good care of the wolf girl, then turned and left. As for Father Wolf, before leaving, he explained to his cousin, who was also staying behind. This half-year-old cousin is naturally the eldest sister of the cubs in terms of age, so after the wolf father communicated with her, he was relieved to take the wolves away. There are 8 adult Arctic wolves in the cave, counting the wolf parents and wolf mothers. This time all of them were dispatched. Hope they have a good harvest this time. And there were only 5 cubs left in the cave. Among the cubs, apart from Su Lin, a little lone wolf who always likes to be alone stands out. This little lone wolf has no parents. It was discovered by Wolf Father and Mother Wolf when they went hunting by chance. Maybe it was out of sympathy for the same kind, or some kind of emotion. Anyway, the Wolf Father and Mother took in this little lone wolf. 3 months old, but not much smaller than her half-year-old cousin. This growth rate is not slow. It can be seen that in the future, this is also the head wolf seedling of the wolf pack, but it is still much inferior to Su Lin. At this time, after the wolves left, Su Lin thought for a moment, and felt that it was time for him to go out and hunt alone. Because he eats more and more meals, more than an adult Arctic wolf. But the wolf father and wolf mother had already worked very hard to hunt for food, and they lost a lot of weight these days. It seems that he saved all the food and threw it to himself and the wolf girl. This made Su Lin feel that it was time to share the responsibility. Coupled with the devoured evolution system, one would have to go out and experience battles and kills. Hiding in a cave and being fed by wolf parents and mothers all the time is not a problem. So Su Lin didn't hesitate, and moved as soon as he said it. Through howling wolves, he briefly explained to his wolf sister and cousin. Ah. The cousin also howled, trying to stop Su Lin. But Su Lin turned a deaf ear and walked out of the cave, leaving only his wolf sister and his angry cousin staring at him eagerly. The North Pole is a land of endless ice and snow and long winters. The temperature here in winter often drops to 40 or 50 degrees below zero. This is a horrible temperature. Even if Su Lin was reborn as an Arctic wolf, covered by this thick layer of fur, he could still feel the severe cold brought by the Arctic winter after he came out. The severe cold brings damage, blood value -1. The severe cold weather doubles the energy consumption of the host. Please pay attention to saving energy. A cold reminder sounded from the system next to the ear. The sound made Su Lin know that he couldn't stay outside for too long. Hiss. After taking a breath of the icy cold air from the Arctic continent, he walked away from the cave step by step. Hunting in the cold Arctic often requires not only strength, but more often observation. In addition to some large animals that are active here, there are also a group of small herbivores. The Arctic hare is one of them. Su Lin originally planned to keep up with the wolf father and mother wolf to go hunting, but he gave up soon on the way. Because on the way, several litters of Arctic rabbits were found. Arctic rabbits are animals that live in groups. There are not many in the Arctic Circle, but there are also many. Right now, there are at least 7 or 8 Arctic rabbits in front of Su Lin, gnawing on the moss and the snow. I'll catch you today, to satisfy your hunger. Su Lin looked at the litter of polar rabbits in front of him, his eyes lit up. He knew that this should be a litter of Arctic rabbits that came out to look for food with their cubs. A combination like this with cubs is often the first to be hunted in the wild. But he didn't have much sympathy in his heart. After all, the law of the jungle is the biggest law among wild animals. System, check attributes. With a thought in Su Lin's mind, the attributes of several Arctic rabbits appeared in front of his eyes, not far away. Species, Arctic rabbit, male. Level 3. Vitality, 320. Stamina, 28. Strength, 8, Defense, 12. Speed, 53. Species, Arctic rabbit, female. Level 2. Vitality, 282. Stamina, 16. Strength, 5, Defense, 9, Speed, 47. Su Lin glanced and found that among these several Arctic rabbits, the male Arctic rabbit headed by one had the highest attributes, reaching level 3. The speed has reached a terrifying 53, and the speed of the other female Arctic rabbits is also very high. It can be seen that such a high speed is also the reason why the wolf father and mother turn a blind eye to them. After all, in this icy and snowy land, trying to catch a few Arctic rabbits running extremely fast is too exhausting. With the size and number of wolf parents and wolf mothers, I am afraid that even if they finally capture a litter of Arctic rabbits, they will still not be able to fill their stomachs in the end, and they will not even be able to make up for the huge physical exertion. But these are nothing to Su Lin. Surin is also very fast, even faster than the leading Arctic rabbit. Plus stamina equals stamina. To restore stamina, you only need a proper amount of rest and a little food to return to full value. Therefore, even if the physical strength is exhausted, as long as one Arctic rabbit is caught, it is enough, and more than 2 will make money. As soon as he said it, Su Lin slowly lay down on the ground, quietly staring at a few Arctic rabbits not far away. To capture the thief, the king is the first to capture. He decided to capture the leading male Arctic rabbit first. Su Lin moved forward slowly. The Arctic herd is visibly alert. As if hearing some noise, he pricked up his ears and looked around. The male Arctic rabbit jumped up and down and looked towards Su Lin non-stop. It seems that this should be the most innate instinct of animals for danger. But fortunately, Su Lin hid it very well. He was originally covered in snow, lying on the ground, almost blended with the snow, so it was difficult to be found. Waiting in silence. The Arctic rabbits found nothing unusual and continued to eat moss with their heads down. Su Lin moved slowly again. Stop for a while, move a little bit, stop for a while, move a little bit. After a long time, he finally came to a place less than 30 meters away from the Arctic rabbit group. Fortunately, there is a bush blocking this place, otherwise, with the vigilance of the Arctic rabbit, it would have been discovered long ago. Su Lin began to restrain his breath. A distance of 30 meters should be enough given his speed and the reaction time of the male Arctic rabbit. He was going to kill with one blow, and when the Arctic rabbits had no time to react, he would hunt and kill a few more, so that he could save more energy in chasing and escaping. Speed is everything. Su Lin took another step forward, slowly, arched his whole body, and made a movement of getting ready to go. Be still like a virgin, move like a rabbit. But this time, Su Lin's speed was faster than Tutu's. A white bolt, like lightning, rushed towards the male Arctic rabbit who was not aware of the danger and threw his head down to eat grass. Ah! At a distance of 10 meters, the Arctic rabbit found it. Su Lin let out a long howl and accelerated again. The male Arctic rabbit began to run away in a panic. But, mental arithmetic and unintentional, plus Su Lin's speed is already faster than the Arctic rabbit. With a short distance of 10 meters, the Arctic rabbit couldn't escape his hunting range at all. Just as he was about to catch up, he jumped up suddenly, revealing his sharp wolf claws in the air. With a pounce on the ground, the wolf's paws slapped heavily on the neck of the male Arctic rabbit. Contains 30 points of strength, plus a pounce with a 60 speed bonus. Not to mention a mere Arctic rabbit, even an adult Arctic wolf would be injured. So as soon as it was hit, there was a sound of bones breaking from the neck of the leading male Arctic rabbit, and then he fell on the snow and began to twitch, and blood flowed from his mouth and nose. Su Lin didn't have time to appreciate his victory, so he turned around and chased the other Arctic rabbits. The rest of the Arctic rabbits had already reacted and began to flee in all directions. However, there are still a few cubs that escape very slowly. Natural selection, survival of the fittest. Su Lin didn't have any thoughts about the virgin's heart, even if it was a cub, he jumped on it and smashed his spine with his paw. Half an hour later. Ah! The long howling of the Arctic wolf, combined with the scattered blood on the snow and the corpse of the Arctic rabbit, shows that an asymmetrical hunting took place here. This time the harvest was quite fruitful. Hunted and killed a full 6 Arctic rabbits. A male and a female, plus 4 cubs. After counting the results, Su Lin, who was out of breath and half exhausted, came to the corpse of the male Arctic rabbit and bit it with his sharp fangs. Ding! The host gains 1 evolution point by eating the Arctic rabbit. Hearing the sound of the system next to his ears, Su Lin started to gobble it up even more. Ding! The host gains 0.8 evolutionary value by eating the Arctic rabbit. Ding! The host gains 0.6 evolutionary value by eating the Arctic rabbit. You can gain evolutionary points by devouring every kind of food, but when you first start eating, you will get more evolutionary points. The further you go, the less. Soon, after eating the male Arctic rabbit and a cub, the system prompt has been reduced to 0.1. Ah! Su Lin held, and the 2 Arctic rabbits went down, and they were almost finished eating. He didn't continue to eat. After scanning around, he lowered his head and bit the dead Arctic rabbit on the ground, and started walking towards the cave. But what Su Lin didn't know was that everything that happened just now was seen by an explorer in a distant off-road vehicle. At this time, the female explorer Tiffany, who was sitting on the off-road vehicle and had a sip of black tea, looked at the snow-white Arctic wolf in the binoculars and praised, "TSK TSK TSK, it's all white. It's a good-looking Arctic wolf, and the lone wolf is able to hunt and kill so many Arctic rabbits. His skills are extraordinary, maybe this will become a real Arctic wolf king in the future. Of course, Tiffany just joked that she didn't know which pack the Arctic wolf belonged to. He also didn't know that the Arctic wolf in front of him was a 1-month-old cub. It took Su Lin 2 trips before he brought all the remaining 4 Arctic rabbits back to the cave. When the 4 Arctic rabbits were still in front of the little wolf cubs of the cave cousin and wolf sister, he clearly noticed the surprise in the eyes of these little wolf cubs, as well as howling in admiration. As a wolf family, Arctic wolves are also mammals. Although they have certain intelligence, they cannot be compared with humans. Therefore, it was beyond Su Lin's surprise that the wolf sister and cousin could express limited surprise and admiration. As for the unbelievable, shocking, etc., these are probably emotions that only human beings have at this stage. Ah! With a low growl, Su Lin grabbed a dead Arctic rabbit cub and threw it in front of them. After all, this is the food he caught. If he doesn't say a word, I'm afraid the wolf girls and the others won't dare to say anything. Now after getting the permission, a few little wolves started eating like having fun. Especially the little lone wolf among them is the happiest to eat. He even wanted to the meat from the weaker cousin, which was seen by Su Lin, who was resting and recovering his stamina. Standing up straight away, he slapped the little lone wolf 3 or 4 meters away with one paw. It's against you. Su Lin howled a little angrily. This furious sound, as well as the heavy force brought by the slap just now, made the little lone wolf who got up quickly admit his mistake in panic and howl. Ah! The law of the jungle is prey to the strong, and the strong are respected, which has been well reflected again. After the little lone wolf howled for a long time, it looked at Su Lin as if he had lost his temper, and after lying down back to the wolf's den again, he carefully came to the Arctic rabbit's body again. But this time it didn't dare to have any thoughts of grabbing food. It just nibbled a few mouthfuls of fresh meat, and tiptoed back. It can be seen that the little lone wolf who used to dominate among the wolf cubs has learned a lesson this time. At the same time, there was also a trace of doubt in the fearful eyes. It didn't understand why the little guy who couldn't even stand on his feet could defeat it so easily now. And it's much bigger than myself. Small eyes, quite a lot of doubts. But no one explained it. Even Su Lin would not. He looked at the little lone wolf who retreated and said in his heart, I still know how to measure. What he picked out just now was the carcass of an adult female Arctic rabbit, which weighed more than 10 kilograms, more than enough for cousins and wolf sisters. So 1 Arctic hare ate, and the 4 wolf cubs also ate, and their bellies became round. Surin kept the remaining 2 Arctic rabbit cubs for the wolf mother. It was night in a flash. The night in the Arctic is colder than the day, and the wind is biting. Mother wolf, father wolf, and a group of wolves also dragged their exhausted bodies, and walked back step by step from the outside. At this time, the wolf mother was very unhappy. Today is another day with very little harvest. Not a single live prey was hunted, only half of the seal that was eaten by the polar bear was snatched. The pack currently has 8 adult Arctic wolves, 3 males and 5 females. Half a seal is far from enough to fill their stomachs, and even today's physical exertion may not be able to make up for it. My cub is even more hungry today. Ah! Thinking of this, Mother Wolf let out a somewhat annoyed growl. If it really keeps going like this, the wolves probably won't be able to last long. It would be much better if it moved a certain distance to the south. After all, there are still a lot of large herbivores like Arctic reindeer over there. But, it's too risky to move with cubs. In addition, there are relatively more grizzly bears and polar bears there. With the current strength of the wolves, it's okay to deal with 1 bear, but it's barely enough to deal with 2 bears. So Mother Wolf has been hesitating. Suddenly, Mother Wolf moved her nose, and she smelled a strong smell of blood. This smell came from the cave. And there are only a few wolf cubs of the wolf pack in the cave. Ah! Ah! Mother Wolf's 2 hasty howls shocked the whole wolf pack. Immediately after the whole wolf pack reacted, Mother Wolf, Father Wolf, and several Arctic wolves whose cubs were in the cave all rushed towards the cave like crazy. Ah! As the alpha wolf, Father Wolf roared with a strong killing intent. The few wolf cubs who were hiding in the cave, satiated and sat down, couldn't help but sit up when they heard the familiar roar. Surin is no exception. Could it be that Father Wolf and Mother Wolf encountered some kind of enemy? He quickly got up and rushed towards the entrance of the cave. Ah! With a strength and speed as high as 60, the wolf father jumped in directly from the hole, and his white wolf claws slapped the ground, splashing a few broken stones. Su Lin looked at Father Wolf, who was furious and had no enemies, and froze in place for a moment. What's the situation? He was stupefied, and the wolf sister and cousin behind him were trembling even more. A few seconds later, Mother Wolf and the rest of the wolves also rushed in. They scanned the cave, and after finding that the cubs were all safe and sound, the fur all over their bodies slowly calmed down. Ah! Mother Wolf let out a low growl, sticking out her tongue and licking Su Lin non-stop. It's good that the little one is all right, but where did the strong smell of blood in the cave come from? Ah! Su Lin roughly guessed the reason why Wolf Mother and Father Wolf were furious just now, so let out a low growl, and then took out the remaining 2 Arctic rabbits from the cave. The Wolf Mother came to the Arctic rabbit and sniffed it. Fresh? The strong smell of blood came from here just now? But where did this food come from? Is the Arctic hare so hard to catch? Could it be that the brat caught it? Mother Wolf turned her head to look at Su Lin with a puzzled expression. Ah! Su Lin replied. At this time, Wolf Mother and Wolf Father were not in a hurry to eat the corpses of the 2 Arctic rabbit cubs. On the one hand, the 2 Arctic rabbit cubs are good enough for the Wolf Mother to eat, but if they are shared together, there is not enough for them to have a few wolves between their teeth. On the other hand, a pair of wolf eyes looked at Su Lin curiously. This is a 1-month-old wolf cub, and he can already hunt Arctic rabbits by himself? Is the growth rate a bit too fast? If it takes a while, won't they soon surpass them? Obviously, the eyes of several wolves in the wolf pack looking at Su Lin changed. Ah! Mother Wolf let out a low growl, and was the first to look away. After all, this is a child she gave birth to herself, and she was just surprised at the speed at which Su Lin grew up. Other than that, didn't think much of it. She took one of the 2 Arctic rabbit cubs on the ground by herself. Not long after she was born, her body really needed supplies. Next, the remaining Arctic rabbit cubs, including Surin, wolf sister, and cousin, all expressed that they were full, and the wolf father threw it to the other female wolves. As for the male wolves, they all quietly returned to their original positions in the cave, and fell asleep on their stomachs. After all, sleep is the most energy-saving. The wolf mother ate half of the Arctic rabbit, and even the baby Arctic rabbit weighed 4 to 5 catties. This made the stomach that had not had nutritional supplements for several days finally eased up a bit. Although the wolf mother really wanted to eat the remaining half of the Arctic rabbit, she still restrained herself. In a corner where no other wolves could see, she secretly released it for Su Lin and the wolf sister. Ah! The wolf mother howled and quietly informed the wolf sister and Su Lin. We're really full. Su Lin, who was always by the side, looked at the half-Arctic rabbit saved by the wolf mother, and he couldn't help but sighed from the bottom of his heart. Unexpectedly, the wolf mother still didn't finish eating. I didn't expect that the maternal love and family affection among animals are also touching. In my previous life, I had no worries about food and clothing, but I really didn't feel much love for my family. After all, parents have been busy with the development of the company and rarely care about themselves. In this life, even though he was reborn as an Arctic wolf, but after getting along with the wolves this month, he really felt the concern of his father and mother for him. Especially the wolf mother and wolf father just thought that the cub in the cave seemed to be crazy after something happened, which touched Su Lin a lot. Why? Thinking of this, Su Lin looked up at the wolf mother who stubbornly left only a little food for him, and he sighed. But I also know in my heart that I have to work hard to evolve. The first thing is to let myself live in peace, and to let the wolf mother and the wolf father no longer be exhausted for a little food. He wants to become the true king of the entire Arctic, the Arctic Wolf King at the top of the entire Arctic food chain. With a bright vision for the future. Su Lin also lay beside the wolf mother, ready to sleep and recover his strength, so that he could go hunting again tomorrow. The next day. After waking up from his sleep, Su Lin opened his eyes and found that the wolf mother and wolf father were no longer in the cave, and the other adult Arctic wolves in the wolf pack were also gone. It can be seen that he must have gone out early to look for food again. He stretched himself, but still got up a little sleepy. When he woke up, he saw that the wolf sister, cousin, and little lone wolf were still soundly asleep. Young mammals live up to their reputation for lethargy. Surin walked out of the cave and looked outside at the snow-capped North Pole. It is estimated that it is around 10 o'clock in the morning, but there is only a glimmer of light in the sky of the Arctic continent. The winter and night here are longer than anywhere else, and even sometime, there will be polar night phenomenon. Ah! Facing the vast and boundless North Pole, Su Lin let out a long howl. He knew that he would live in this place for a long time in the future. After howling, Su Lin felt a little hungry again. He has now fully adapted to being an Arctic wolf, and has also fully adapted to the life of raw hair and blood. And maybe the taste buds on the Arctic wolf's tongue are different from those of humans. He eats raw meat, and it still tastes delicious. Do you want to hunt some Arctic hares? However, the evolutionary value gained from eating Arctic rabbits is already negligible, so there is not much motivation. After thinking for a while, Su Lin decided to go out for a walk. If there is no other prey, then you can only hunt a few more Arctic hares. In the Arctic snow, he walked step by step. Wolves have a keen sense of smell. Soon, without going far, Su Lin smelled a smell of blood from the air. Huh? There is a situation. He immediately concentrated on it. He lay prone on the snow and walked a little bit in the direction of the smell. Not fast, but cautious. After all, his current strength is still very weak. Be careful sailing for thousands of years, and it is always right to be cautious. After moving slowly for about 10 minutes, he finally came to the direction where the smell of blood came from. The smell of blood was very strong. It looks like a fight that just happened not long ago. If it took a long time, such a strong smell of blood would have attracted many carnivorous animals. Su Lin stopped, hid behind a lush bush, and looked up into the distance. Soon, the source of the smell was clearly seen. It was the carcass of an Arctic reindeer. Species, Arctic reindeer, male, deceased. Level 7. Vitality, 1050. Stamina, 75. Strength, 53. Defense, 39. Speed, 60. This Arctic reindeer is level 7, higher than the wolf father. If this was normal, all the wolves would have to mobilize to hunt and kill the target. But now such a male Arctic reindeer with a level of up to level 7 was directly killed in this way. There is not even a trace of a bite on the caribou carcass. Only the bright red blood flowing from the neck and limbs. The blood hadn't completely clotted, and it looked like he had just died a few minutes ago. Huh? What animal can kill such a male Arctic reindeer so easily? Could it be a polar bear? Su Lin, who was hiding behind the bushes, guessed in his heart. Can kill the Arctic reindeer so easily in the Arctic, there is only the well-deserved overlord polar bear. Surprisingly, Su Lin found that there were no traces of bears here either. Besides, if it was killed by a polar bear, the body would not be thrown here. Su Lin was a little puzzled. After repeatedly confirming that the surrounding environment was very safe, he walked cautiously towards the corpse of the Arctic reindeer. The carcass of this Arctic reindeer was huge, weighing 200 to 300 catties. Even if the whole pack of wolves eats it, it won't be able to finish a meal. After careful observation, it was soon discovered that the reindeer carcass was a bit strange. The antlers and whips disappeared, as if they had been cut off with a knife. The wound was very neat, and it was absolutely impossible for it to be bitten by an animal. Could it be hunted by people? Su Lin was startled. When the antlers are not fully ossified, they are called antlers. Antlers exist not only in sika deer and red deer, but also in Arctic reindeer. This is a very expensive medicinal material, and many people will spend a lot of money to buy it. As for the deer whip, it is also a good thing for making wine. Looking at the fatal wound on the reindeer's neck, it turned out to be a deep blood hole. From his human perspective, such wounds were definitely caused by firearms. This reindeer was killed by a human. So only the most valuable deer antler and deer whip are gone. Hiss. Seeing this, Su Lin gasped. It seems that the North Pole is not as safe as imagined. Not only are you constantly at risk of food shortages, but these poachers too. The crisis came to mind in an instant. He must speed up the pace of evolution. Ah! Let out a low howl. Surin lowered his head and began to eat the carcass of the Arctic reindeer. The reindeer had just died not long ago, and the body hadn't completely stiffened yet. He tore off a piece of meat from the tender chest with less fat. Ding! The host gains 3 evolution points by eating Arctic reindeer. After taking a sip, Su Lin's eyes lit up. 3 points of evolution. It is indeed the meat of Arctic reindeer. If you're enjoying my content, please consider donating a coffee. Or checking out my shirts on TeePublic. Su Lin continued to devour. Ding! The host gains 2.8 evolution points by eating Arctic reindeer. Ding! The host gains 2.6 evolution points by eating Arctic reindeer. Ding! The host gains 2.4 evolutionary points by eating Arctic reindeer. The carcass of the Arctic reindeer provided Surin with a lot of evolutionary value. After devouring about 5 or 6 caddies of Arctic reindeer meat, Surin already felt 7 or 8% full. He did not continue to swallow. After all, this is the icy and snowy field, so there is no telling what dangers you may encounter. Do not eat too much, it is easy to affect the movement. Now Su Lin already has more than 60 evolutionary points, only a dozen or so evolutionary points away, and he can evolve again. He dragged the carcass of the Arctic reindeer towards the cave with great effort. This is an Arctic reindeer weighing a full 200 kilograms. With Su Lin's current small body, it is still very laborious to drag it. But soon, using human wisdom, he found 2 shrubs. The shrubs are smooth and placed under the reindeer carcass, which can reduce friction very well. If there is no human vision and wisdom. Come to think of it, let alone him, even if Father Wolf came, it would be difficult to carry the reindeer carcass back to the cave alone. After all, this is not a short journey. After finishing everything, Su Lin slowly moved towards the cave. And at this moment, a feline with gray and white spots on its body smelled the blood of reindeer carcasses. It followed the smell to this place, and was crawling in the bushes and watching Su Lin. After confirming that Su Lin was just a lone wolf that came out to hunt this feline animal, he opened his mouth, revealing his sharp fangs. It's a lynx. Lynxes are cats. Under the same size, cats are almost invincible kings. The current lynx is about the same size as Su Lin, with dense light gray hair and several unevenly distributed dark gray spots. The lynx looks very much like a cat, a very large cat. The pointed ears looked a bit like the ears of elves in some comics. This thing is a natural hunter. The limbs are thick and strong, they are good at climbing and swimming, and they are very resistant to hunger. They can lie quietly in one place for several days without fear of severe cold. It is very similar to the ancient assassin who does not move and kills with a single blow. And now the lynx is also quietly crawling on the shrubs and grass, waiting for the opportunity. It has been hungry for 2 days, and its stomach is rumbling, but even the faint smell of blood is very attractive, even if the rich food is right in front of it. This lynx was still able to suppress the restlessness in his heart. While Surin was struggling to drag the caribou carcass, one accident, too much force, the wolf body lost its balance and fell to the ground. This time, the lynx, which had been crawling all along, began to accelerate rapidly, leaping up from the bushes. Sharp fangs, gleaming coldly, appeared in the mouth. Fuck. Lynx. Su Lin also saw the guy who was rushing. The numerical panel of lynx also appeared in front of him. Species, lynx, female. Level 4. Vitality, 398. Stamina, 28. Strength, 49. Defense, 19. Speed, 53. This lynx is level 4. One level higher than Surin. Generally speaking, lynx will not take the initiative to provoke wolves. After all, wolves are larger than lynxes, and wolves have stronger stamina and defense. If the lynx cannot be hunted in a short time, it will definitely fall into a disadvantage. They are natural hunters, not fighters who fight head-on. But Su Lin is just a wolf cub, and the speed of this lynx has reached an astonishing 53 points, even if it is not much worse than Su Lin, who has taken the potential potion. The lynx was leaping towards it swiftly, its eyes flashed with the ferocious expression that a hunter should have. This is to kill Su Lin in one blow. Ah! With a long howl, Su Lin suddenly got up from the ground. But after all, the action is still a bit slow. The wolf's body was touched by a front paw of the lynx, and the sharp front paw instantly tore through the fur. Su Lin was in pain, but he also distanced himself. He knew that this would be the first life-and-death fight he faced since he was reborn as a wolf. In the wide, vast expanse of the Arctic continent, there is no human relationship and morality, no public morality and etiquette, there are only the weak and the strong. Since Su Lin was hunting the Arctic rabbit, he has understood this most simple and unpretentious truth. If you want to survive, you have to be more ruthless and stronger. Therefore, even if Su Lin is still a wolf cub, even if this lynx is one level higher than him, he can only survive if he works hard. Fortunately, Surin is about the same size as a lynx and faster than a lynx. It's not that he has no chance of winning. With this in mind, Su Lin also showed his fangs to the lynx. Ah! Roar! Lynx's feline eyes also showed fierceness. He rushed towards Su Lin again. Boom! Lynx's front paws and Surin's wolf paws came together. But the power of the lynx is obviously much stronger than the current Su Lin. Su Lin was in pain, so he had to back away howling. He wants to use his speed to engage in a tug-of-war with the lynx. Su Lin added all the extra attribute points to the speed. Therefore, his speed is faster than the lynx, which is famous for its speed. A 60, a 53. The two of them are moving at high speed, and the brief contact during the movement is fierce biting and culling. Tear. The lynx finally found another chance. Its front paws were like blades, and cut a hole in the body of the Surin wolf again. Blood flowed from Surin wolf's body. Su Lin also turned red in the fight. He opened his mouth to bite the lynx's neck, and the lynx hid, but was still bitten to the side by Surin. Fortunately, only a layer of flesh was bitten off. Although it was painful, it did not affect the combat power. And the pain also made the ferocious look in lynx's eyes even crazier. However, Su Lin's eyes lit up after swallowing the flesh of the lynx. Ding! The host eats the lynx and gains 2.5 evolutionary points. That's okay too? Su Lin was overjoyed. Now he is about to advance to level 4, and his evolution value is still 5 points away. In other words, as long as he bites off 2 or 3 bites of the lynx's flesh, he can break through to level 4. Once he breaks through to level 4, this lynx will not be his opponent at all. Therefore, he, who had been playing tug-of-war and attrition war with the lynx, suddenly opened his mouth, showing his fangs, and walked towards the lynx step by step. A pair of light blue eyes revealed a decisive and resolute look. Ah! Hell! Since you want to fight, then come and have a good time. Lynx was also completely angered by Su Lin's provocation. It also howled angrily, the hair all over its body exploded, its vigorous limbs jumped up, its sharp front claws shone with cold light, and it rushed towards Su Lin. Now Surin no longer dodges, he and the lynx head-to-head slaughtered together. This time the culling and biting of the two were very fierce. It stands to reason that, as a solitary animal, lynx would not be so desperate. But Su Lin's pain from biting off its flesh just now, as well as the naked provocation, made it completely blew up. Blood flew everywhere. At this time, Su Lin was hit by two front paws of the lynx, and bit off a piece of meat from the lynx again. Even if the flesh still has fur, he didn't care, and swallowed it directly into his stomach. Ding! The host eats the lynx and gains 2.4 evolution points. Swallowing the meat of carnivores will bring much less reduction in evolutionary value. As long as there are 2 more bites, Su Lin can complete the promotion. Therefore, he fought more fiercely with the lynx. As long as the sharp minions of the lynx didn't greet the vital parts, Surin would turn a blind eye. He fought fiercely with the lynx in close quarters, only looking for a suitable opportunity to attack. Boom! The front paw of the lynx hit Su Lin's back severely again, creating a wound. But Su Lin's eyes lit up, and he bit off another layer of flesh from the muscles of the lynx's front paws. Ding! The host eats the lynx and gains 2.3 evolution points. The front paw was injured, and the lynx's combat power was obviously affected. In its pair of fierce feline eyes, a hint of retreat finally rose. Intuition is telling it that if it continues to fight, even if it wins, it will be seriously injured. As a solitary animal, a serious injury is equal to death. Roar! Lynx roared, wanting to get out of the fight. But Su Lin didn't give it this chance at all. Relying on the speed faster than the lynx, he entangled it tightly. He threw himself on the lynx's back, bit off a piece of flesh again, and swallowed it into his stomach. Ding! The host eats the lynx and gains 2.2 evolution points. After swallowing this mouthful of flesh and blood, Su Lin's strength increased extremely rapidly again. The power of evolution roams through every part of the body, every cell in the wolf's body is greedily absorbing the power of evolution. Ding! Congratulations to the host for advancing to level 4. Name, Su Lin. Species, Arctic Wolf. Level 4. Upgrading requires 160 evolution points. Vitality, 400. Stamina, 40. Strength, 40. Defense, 40. Speed, 70. Evolution value, 2. Extra attribute value, 10. Su Lin redistributed the extra attribute value to the speed column. The speed attribute suddenly became 80. Now Su Lin felt the soaring power in the wolf's body, and couldn't help but let out a long howl. And the lynx under him also rolled over, throwing Su Lin off. Started to run away quickly. But originally the lynx was quite vigorous. At this moment, in Su Lin's eyes, it became slower. His blue wolf eyes looked at the fleeing lynx with a cold-killing intent. Since this lynx came to food, it must have the consciousness to die here. Su Lin's speed is very fast now, galloping like a white shadow. It took only a very short time to catch up with the lynx. With a speed of 80 and a strength of 40, the pounce brought by it is definitely very powerful. Lynx looked back, with fear in his eyes for the first time, trying to dodge. But there was no time. The powerful force directly crushed the spine of the lynx with one claw. The lynx was beaten and rolled several meters. Blood was also flowing from the corner of his mouth, and his eyes were bloodshot from the shock. Seeing that it is impossible to survive, Su Lin didn't torture it, and stepped forward and slapped the lynx on the head again, completely shattering its last consciousness. The first life and death fight finally came to a successful conclusion. The wounds on Su Lin's body have completely healed in the evolution just now. After the lynx died completely, several light gray message prompts popped up in front of Su Lin's eyes. Use the weak to overcome the strong. Breakthrough. Fight in blood. Final victory. Target dies. Combat rating, S. Rating for this battle, S. Obtained hunting talent, D grade. Remarks, if the battle rating is less than S, the message will not be prompted. Huh? this is? When Su Lin saw the message prompt floating in front of his eyes, he was taken aback for a moment. I didn't expect that there would be gains in fighting, but if you want to harvest, it seems that the difficulty is not small. Combat rating S. It seemed that only such a brutal fight could be done. He shook his head, not thinking too much. Instead, look at the so-called talent. Hunting, D-level, upgradable, active talent. After opening, it can increase its movement speed by 50%, increase its attack power by 50%, and increase the breath concealment coefficient. Duration, 60 seconds. Cooldown, 24 hours. Seeing this talent, Su Lin's eyes lit up. The hunting talent has greatly enhanced his strength. The growth of strength, in the ice and snow of the Arctic continent, not only brings confidence, but also the acquisition of food. However, Su Lin didn't waste too much time, just checked it, and then closed the property page. After all, there was still an Arctic reindeer and a lynx carcass, which he needed to drag back to the cave. Otherwise, the delay would be too long, and other hunters might be attracted. Su Lin put the lynx carcass among the hidden bushes and grass. Instead, dragged the carcass of the Arctic reindeer back to the cave. Then, he came out of the cave again and took the lynx carcass back. When two corpses were thrown in front of several little guys. Looking at Su Lin with their blue wolf eyes, it was like looking at Father Wolf. No, even more awe and admiration than when looking at Father Wolf. The corpse of the lynx, Surin put aside, did not let a group of wolf cubs eat. After all, lynx meat can still provide Su Lin with a lot of evolutionary value. As for the Arctic reindeer, they pushed it with their paws, signaling the wolf sister and cousin to let go and eat. Among wolves, there are distinct levels. Su Lin signaled the wolf girl and cousin to eat first, and also wanted to establish a rule among the 4 cubs. Save food like the little lone wolf, big or small. 4 cubs, the cousin and the little lone wolf are currently the strongest. Cousin and little lone wolf are currently level 2 attributes. In addition, it was the child of another female wolf in the wolf pack, with mixed hair, gray and white. This little wolf is also 3 months old, and its attributes have reached level 1. The weakest is of course the dearest wolf sister. Poor level 0. However, the wolf girl has only been born for more than a month, and this attribute is also normal. After all, not any wolf can grow up as fast as Su Lin. The wolf girl's little wolf teeth haven't grown well yet, so she can't bite or eat too hard. So Su Lin, who was resting on the rock, saw this scene. In the past, he tore off a few pieces of easily digestible flesh from the belly of the Arctic reindeer, and threw them in front of the wolf girl. Ah! The immature wolf cry of the wolf girl is expressing her love and dependence to Su Lin. Next, after the wolf sister and cousin were full, Su Lin asked the little lone wolf and another little wolf to eat. The little lone wolf was already very hungry, and when he got to the carcass of the reindeer, he began to gnaw on it. It was obviously still a wolf cub, but its eating speed was not slow. Su Lin didn't care, he found behind the stone where he had been before, and fell asleep on his stomach. Now the food in the cave is abundant, even if the wolf father and wolf mother come back, they can still have a good meal. After fighting desperately with the lynx, Su Lin was also a little tired today. After the wolf girl was full, she returned to Su Lin's side, the little body arched to be close to him, and began to fall asleep. In the Arctic, the day is short. It was night in a flash. After waking up, Su Lin stretched his waist and found that the wolf father and wolf mother hadn't come back yet. As for the carcass of the reindeer, after the little lone wolves finished eating, they had consciously moved to the depths of the cave. Prevent other hunters from finding the cave smelling blood. Su Lin saw that the little lone wolf, who usually would only be reckless and eats and drinks, can do this, and silently gave it a good score in his heart. He got up and walked towards the entrance of the cave. As soon as I arrived at the entrance of the cave, I felt a gust of cold wind blowing towards my face. Surin, who can turn into a wolf and wear thick fur, can still feel the cold, which shows how low the temperature in the Arctic continent is. At this moment he looked into the distance. It was found that the cold wind was getting bigger and bigger, and even rolled up the ice and snow on the ground that hadn't melted all year round. Could it be that a blizzard is coming? Su Lin's heart sank. Wolf father and wolf mother did not come back, which may also have something to do with this. After all, the wolf pack had a total of 8 adult Arctic wolves, and they all went out. In the Arctic continent, as long as you don't take the initiative to provoke overlords like polar bears and grizzly bears, there are almost no hunters who can pose a threat to them. Like the lynx that was fighting fiercely with itself, when encountering a real pack of Arctic wolves, let alone make a move, they dare not even provoke them. He could only run in a desperate manner with his tail between his legs. It is estimated that Father Wolf and the others have discovered the blizzard, so they may be hiding somewhere. Su Lin didn't think about the bad side. Wolf father and wolf mother are all experienced hunters and will not do too dangerous things. At this time, Su Lin saw that the snowstorm outside was getting worse, but he wasn't too worried. Because today's harvest is not small. The carcass of this Arctic reindeer weighed nearly 200 catties, enough to last for several days. Surin inspected around the cave. After confirming that there was no danger, he didn't stay too long and went back soon. The weather outside is very cold, and the physical strength is exhausted too quickly. After returning, I found that the wolf girl in the cave was still sleeping. The little lone wolf and the gray-haired little wolf were also sleeping soundly in a corner. The little lone wolf rested the wolf's head on the gray-haired little wolf, making himself comfortable to sleep on. It's quite enjoyable. Seeing this scene, Su Lin couldn't help laughing in his heart. At present, only the cousin is awake and is in charge of guarding the cave. It can be seen that, as the eldest sister of several cubs, the cousin has put in a lot of hard work. Su Lin let out a low howl, motioning for him to be alert. Ah. The cousin also communicated with Su Lin briefly through howling, and after informing Su Lin of some precautions, she went back to sleep. The current cousin no longer regards Su Lin as the little wolf brother she used to be. Instead, he began to regard Su Lin as a wolf father like a wolf. After all, Su Lin has already started hunting and feeding them. The laws in nature are often simple and unpretentious. Since they went hunting and brought them food, then Su Lin was their boss. In my cousin's mind, the wolf tribe has always respected the strong. Today Su Lin has become the well-deserved boss among several wolf cubs. Nothing to say all night. Since I slept in yesterday afternoon, Su Lin didn't feel sleepy that night. During the vigilance, it was discovered that the wind and snow outside the cave were getting bigger and bigger. Many animals living in the Arctic began to look for places to hide from this sudden snowstorm. An Arctic tern didn't know whether it was because of the heavy snow or lost its way, so it flew to the entrance of the wolf's cave. He even wanted to fly into the cave to avoid the snow. Su Lin, who was on alert, directly lifted his spirits, then he jumped up at a super-fast speed, drawing a beautiful white line in the air. One paw snapped the Arctic tern down. The Arctic tern is very beautiful, with a black head, white back and red tasseled beak. According to legend, the Arctic tern once created a world record. It is the only animal in the world that migrates the longest distance. The bird travels about 40,000 kilometers a year, from the North Pole to the South Pole. Even the Arctic tern has been included, the oldest living bird in the world. If Su Lin encountered this kind of bird when he was still a human, he must study it carefully. After all, as a student of archaeology, I am naturally very interested in this oldest existing bird. But now that Su Lin took a picture of the Arctic tern, he didn't think much of it at all. He simply plucked the fur from the tern's body and ate it into his stomach. Now it's a wolf. He has no feelings, carries forward the spirit of protecting birds. Ding. The host eats the Arctic tern and gains 1.5 evolutionary points. Ding. The host eats the Arctic tern and gains 1.3 evolution points. A weak Arctic tern provided Surin with less than 3 evolutionary points. It can also be regarded as an unexpected joy of vigil. After Su Lin yawned, the sky was dawning. The cousin, the wolf sister, the little lone wolf, and the gray little wolf all woke up. started to fight boringly. Of course, after being taught by Su Lin, the little lone wolf no longer dares to bully the wolf girl. It can only wrestle with the little gray and white wolf. Poor little gray and white wolf. At night he makes wolf meat pillows for the little lone wolf, and during the day he also serves as wolf-shaped sandbags. And the wolf girl followed her cousin, playing. From time to time, he would come to Su Lin's side to play around for a while with this wolf brother who was obviously much bigger than himself. But Su Lin just lay lazily on the stone, without moving his eyelids. He almost ignored the wolf girl's playfulness. After all, as a human being, I really can't keep up with this kind of naive jokes between wolf cubs. After a while, Su Lin felt a little hungry. He began to greet a few wolf cubs for dinner. He still didn't eat the carcass of the Arctic reindeer, although the meat of the Arctic reindeer tasted better. But eating lynx can also provide him with a lot of evolutionary value. Ding! The host eats the lynx and gains 2 evolutionary points. Ding! The host eats the lynx and gains 1.8 evolution points. Ding! The host eats the lynx and gains 1.6 evolution points. This lynx weighs more than 50 kilograms. Su Lin couldn't finish a meal at all. After eating about 7 or 8 catties, he couldn't eat any more. Swallowing these lynx meat provided him with nearly 20 evolutionary points. Another small step away from the next upgrade and evolution. The meat of the Arctic reindeer became very stiff after being left overnight. The wolf girl couldn't bite at all. He tried his best to gnaw on the carcass of the Arctic reindeer for a long time, but he couldn't bite off a little bit of meat, couldn't help howling a few times an aggrieved wolf. Seeing this scene, Su Lin had no choice but to get up, tear off a few pieces of Arctic reindeer meat, and bite into small pieces before throwing them to the wolf sister. After all, the wolf girl is now considered a relative of her own blood, so she can't just watch her go hungry. And the wolf girl happily ate the meat thrown by Su Lin. This made the little lone wolf, who was drooling, very envious. As for the little gray and white wolf, it lay down on the ground very tactfully, motionless. At this time, after Su Lin tore off enough meat for the wolf girl, he went to inspect the outside of the cave. The blizzard outside was a little smaller, but it was still bitingly cold. The severe cold brings damage, blood value -5. The severe cold weather doubles the energy consumption of the host. Please pay attention to saving energy. The notification sound in his ear also made Su Lin go back to the cave after making a tour. After returning, the energetic little lone wolf also bounced to the entrance of the cave. But soon, a gust of wind blew its still young wolf body and rolled it back into the cave. Ah! Unwilling to admit defeat, the little lone wolf began to repeatedly fight against the cold wind at the entrance of the cave. Su Lin glanced at it and said nothing. After all, wolf cubs always have a place to vent their energy. Next, after seeing his cousin start serving as a guard, he also found a leeward stone and fell asleep. Reborn as a wolf clan, without the colorful life of human beings, every day is so boring. But fortunately, there is no pressure from life, study, work, family chores, etc., and I can live comfortably. 7 days passed in a flash. During the 7 days, the blizzard continued intermittently, and it didn't completely stop until today. Now, Surin in the cave has eaten up the lynx. A lynx has provided him with more than 20 evolutionary points in the past few days. Obviously, carnivores bring much less evolutionary cuts than herbivores. Even at the end of the meal, the meat of the lynx can still provide Surin with 0.2 evolutionary value. In addition, the meat of the Arctic reindeer is also almost eaten. Especially the little lone wolf, these days he let go of his food, and he ate a lot, which was equivalent to the appetite of an adult Arctic wolf. But I have to say that the little lone wolf grows extremely fast. She is now bigger than her cousin. In addition, Su Lin didn't know if it was because of enough food, but Su Lin found that the little lone wolf had some other changes these days. The gray hair on the wolf's body became darker. The originally thin limbs also became thicker, especially the wolf's claws, which can be hidden in thick fur like cats, but can be stretched freely. In addition, the resistance, endurance, physical strength and attack power of the little lone wolf are also much higher than those of wolves of the same size. The current cousin is no longer the little lone wolf's opponent. Su Lin looked at the little lone wolf. The numerical attributes of the little lone wolf appeared before his eyes again. Species, Arctic wolf, exotic. Level, level 2. Vitality, 265. Stamina, 27. Strength, 28. Defense, 25. Speed, 23. The little lone wolf's attribute has been enhanced a lot in just a few days. And behind the species, there is an extra note. Huh? Alien? Su Lin stared at the little lone wolf, his blue wolf eyes sparkling with curiosity. Before, he also checked the attributes of the little lone wolf. Pretty sure, there is absolutely no such word as heterogeneous. It should be because there is enough food these days to develop his own potential. It is estimated that this is also the reason for the changes in the little lone wolf these days. Ah. At this time, the little lone wolf watched Su Lin walking towards it, and quickly held obediently and submissively. Su Lin is now the boss in the cave. Even if the wolf father and the others come back, Su Lin is still the boss in the little lone wolf's heart. Because when Su Lin didn't like it, he would really teach it directly. And if you slap it down with one paw, even if you don't use much force, it will be dazzled by the slap. In the wolf clan's worldview, the strong are respected. Su Lin is so strong, even if he is often taught a lesson, it still recognizes Su Lin as the boss. Of course, the most important reason is that it is only when it is with Su Lin these days that it is truly full. Ah. The little lone wolf howled lowly, and even licked the hair on Su Lin's legs. Seeing Su Lin, he still kept staring at it, and quickly turned up his belly to express the greatest intimacy and flattery. The wolves turned their bellies, which almost equaled absolute trust and absolute intimacy. The belly is the softest and most vulnerable part of the wolf family. So seeing the little lone wolf's flattering behavior, Su Lin just let out a low howl, stretched out his paw and patted it on the head again. Although the little lone wolf developed its potential, it evolved into a different species. But his personality hasn't changed. Moreover, the little lone wolf with different strengths might be able to help him in the future. So he decided to completely accept the little lone wolf as his younger brother. Ah. Under the signal of Su Lin's low howl, little lone wolf turned up. The wolf's body curled up, its tail was clamped on both sides of its crotch, and it held low to show its submission. The extremely obedient little lone wolf made Su Lin very satisfied. In addition, he also gave the little lone wolf a new code name by the way. The little lone wolf was originally a gray-haired Arctic wolf, but now it was dark gray all over. So he gave it the code name Shelby. Of course, only Su Lin knew this code name. With the only wolf wisdom in the little lone wolf's mind, he still can't understand the existence of names and code names. Now, after accepting the little lone wolf as his younger brother, Su Lin walked out of the cave and jumped onto a rock at the entrance of the cave. He is covered in pure white wolf fur, shining brightly under the long-lost sunlight on the Arctic continent. Today's Surin is about the size of an adult Arctic wolf. And in terms of strength, it is far superior to ordinary Arctic wolves. He climbed up and looked far away, scanning the quiet and peaceful Arctic continent after the snowstorm. I also felt in my heart that the blizzard had completely stopped. Father Wolf and Mother Wolf should be coming back soon. Just when Su Lin's thoughts were flying, there was also a group of wolves in complete formation, with a lot of food in their mouths, walking slowly from the white-covered distance in the sight of climbing high. Ah! Looking at the figures of this group, Su Lin couldn't help but let out a long howl. Immediately afterwards, wolves howled one after another in the distance. Ah! Ah! The loud and long howling of wolves echoed over the empty Arctic continent. The safe return of Wolf Father and Wolf Mother made Su Lin feel a little happy. 8 adult Arctic wolves, not less than one, all came back. There are no injuries on the body, and an adult moose and 3 moose calves are dragged in their mouths. It can be seen that the hunting of the wolves went well this time. It was the blizzard that blocked the way back. Not long after the wind and snow stopped, they rushed back in a hurry. Especially the wolf mother, even though she ran wildly, she still wanted to see her child as soon as possible. Family affection among mammals has always been great. Ah! Su Lin greeted the wolf mother in advance. Mother Wolf licked Su Lin very affectionately. And seeing that Su Lin's body size has grown a lot, he is also very happy in his heart. Next, he threw the newly born moose cub in his mouth to Su Lin. Su Lin let out a low howl, indicating that this easy-to-digest cub should be left to the wolf girl. Such a sensible, wolf mother couldn't help sticking out her tongue and licking him. Although Su Lin was somewhat resistant to this kind of intimacy in his heart, fortunately, as a wolf clan, he didn't respond physically. Soon, after Surin brought Mother Wolf back to the cave. The cousin, the wolf sister, and the little gray wolf stood up happily and gathered around the wolf mother. Only Xiaohui followed behind Su Lin. After the wolf mother tore the moose cubs to pieces, she threw them to the cubs to eat. The little gray wolf who was about to eat something suddenly thought of something. He looked up at Su Lin, and only started to eat after Su Lin allowed it. Mother Wolf noticed this, but she didn't express any objection. After all, the strong are respected. It is normal for a group of wolf cubs to listen to Su Lin. Looking at Su Lin's size, which was not inferior to it, Mother Wolf felt that he grew up too fast. Next, Father Wolf and the others also returned to the cave. It was delayed by the snowstorm for several days before returning, and it was also worried that something would happen to the cubs. Now seeing that a bunch of little wolf cubs are safe and sound, I am completely relieved. The wolves are not very intelligent. The wolf parents and mothers come back. After comforting the cubs, they threw food to them. As for how the cubs spent the past few days, they didn't ask. After the wolf father and wolf mother came back, the originally empty cave became lively again. Some take care of the cubs, and some serve as guards. As for the cousin's mother, she also started to take the cousin with her to teach her some hunting and predation skills. As the wolf father walked out of the cave and began to patrol the surrounding area, and remarked the scent around the cave. Mother Wolf signaled Su Lin to come and eat. Su Lin let out a low howl, and then walked towards the moose carcass with Xiaohui. Species, moose, female, deceased. Level 8. Vitality, 1265. Stamina, 85. Strength, 65. Defense, 53. Speed, 35. The attribute value displayed by the moose is very high, even higher than that of the Arctic reindeer. It is also the largest deer in the world. Its tall body resembles a camel, and its shoulders are particularly high, like the hump on the back of a camel, so this is why it is called a moose. Even if this moose is a female, it is also very big, and the whole pack of wolves took a lot of effort to drag it back. With this moose carcass, the wolves can have a few delicious meals. At this time, Su Lin was not polite, and went up to tear off a piece of flesh and blood from his neck. Ding! The host eats the moose and gains 5 evolutionary points. This mouthful is worth 5 points of evolution, which immediately made Su Lin's eyes light up. Undoubtedly, this is the first time Surin has gained so many evolution points. Even the first bite of the Arctic reindeer only brought him 3 evolutionary points. Therefore, Su Lin also started to eat voraciously. While eating, the light gray message prompt of gaining evolution value is also constantly ringing. Ding! The host eats the moose and gains 4.7 evolution points. Ding! The host eats the moose and gains 4.4 evolution points. Ding! The host eats the moose and gains 4.1 evolution points. The evolutionary value of herbivores has been greatly reduced, but the quality of the meat is very delicious. When Su Lin ate it, he felt that the moose meat was smooth, tender, and refreshing. This meat is much more delicious than the dry meat of lynx. He gulped. In the den of the wolves, Su Lin didn't worry that eating too much would affect his actions. Therefore, I stopped when my belly was round after eating. Su Lin had a good appetite, and he ate more than 10 catties of meat in one go. This appetite far exceeds that of an average adult Arctic wolf, who is comparable to Father Wolf. The meat of these moose also provided Su Lin with more than 50 evolutionary points. With a thought, he opened his properties panel. Name, Su Lin. Species, Arctic wolf. Level, level 4. Upgrading requires 160 evolution points. Vitality, 400. Stamina, 40. Strength, 40. Defense, 40. Speed, 80. Evolution value, 125. In just a few days, the evolution value has reached more than 100 points, and it is still 35 points away from upgrading again. This made Su Lin full of motivation again. Evolution. Only by evolution can we become stronger, hunt more food, and survive in the Arctic continent. At this time, after Su Lin finished eating, Xiao Hui started to eat. Time flies like a white horse, and a few days are fleeting. The wolves leaned against the moose carcass, taking a short rest and adjustment these days. One adult moose and 3 young moose have just finished eating today. Father Wolf and the others originally planned to go hunting today, but the weather was obviously bad, so they gave up this plan. Continue to recharge your batteries in the cave. And after Su Lin devoured a lot of moose meat, he also gained 30 points of evolution. He is only a few points away from evolutionary value before he can upgrade again. This made Su Lin unable to hold back his desire to go hunting, but every time he made a slight movement, Father Wolf howled twice and drove him back. Although Father Wolf's actions were also caring, Su Lin couldn't help but sigh. Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.